So recently I finished watching the entire season of Wednesday because why review a series if you only watched one or two episodes, right? I will leave that to those mainstream media reviewer hacks. And yes, I'm aware I'm a bit late to the whole hype, seeing how the series has really been popping on social media among what's probably the most useless group of human beings, influencers. Admittingly, that's also the reason why I put off watching Wednesday from the get go, despite being kind of fond of the Addams Family. But all those cringy Wednesday cosplay wannabe dance TikToks, all the somewhat creepy videos about the main character's supposedly sexuality, and chicks crying about the fact Gomez isn't hot. Oh, and Netflix's ungodly ability to turn a beloved IP into utter dog shit. Well, obviously, it didn't really whet my appetite to watch. But Tim Burton is a nice fella when he isn't punching through walls, and I've always liked the atmosphere and art direction in his projects, so I flopped down on my sofa chair and gave it a go. And to my surprise, it was actually pretty good. In the first episode, Wednesday, the oldest daughter of the Addams family, is sent to a new school, more suited for a minimalistic, god obsessed weirdo like herself, after she released a school of piranha in a public pool to get back at some jocks for bullying her younger brother, Pugsley. Nevermore, a school popular with outcasts of society such as vampires, werewolves, sirens, and other colorful folk that go bump into the night, is her final chance at a somewhat normal school life. Depends on your definition of normal, I guess. Alas, even among fellow outcasts, Wednesday is too socially inept to really fit in. The fact her parents also attended the school in their youth and were actually very popular, especially her mother, casts some steep footsteps Wednesday is unwilling to follow in. I was somewhat afraid most of the series would resolve around her antics in class, her slowly fitting in with her classmates, dripping with all that teen drama and some teen angst as the cherry on top. Which happens to a certain degree, and that's not a bad thing considering the setting, but luckily there's also a bigger plotline with a fair dose of mystery, murder, and a monster. Just the way I like it. The characters are enjoyable. Wednesday bounces off well on the other characters without her loner edginess getting too annoying. Giving her a ditzy quirky werewolf girl as a roommate also adds more fun to her interactions. The other members of the Addams family are portrayed loyally to the source material with some added tweaks to keep it fresh. Especially the Thing and Uncle Fester really stood out. As for the other students, they perform their part well as the type of people you'd run into at any random high school, such as the beauty queen, the artsy dude, the nerd, and so on. Some just happen to be vampires, gorgons, or faceless humanoids. Visually, the series hits its mark, and especially the Nevermore School is dipped into that style we've come to expect from Tim Burton, although it's not as prominent as in his other stuff. Add a dark, large forest, a nice collection of abandoned buildings, creepy crypts, and mysterious hidden rooms to the mix, and you've got a solid concoction of dark atmosphere. To break away from the gloomy god vibes, there's also the small town of Jericho that borders Nevermore, clearly a stand-in for the idealistic image of the cozy American town with streets filled with homely little shops that would go bankrupt within a month in current-day economy. One visual point that irked me a bit was the CGI in some parts, especially the CGI design of the big bad monster, which looks like a giant mutated caveman baby. I mean, it's not a disaster, but they could have done better. To summarize, Wednesday turned out to be a pretty decent watch. The series stays loyal to the essence of its source material while trying some new things. The story is entertaining, has a nice amount of twists and turns nestled in there, and the teen drama cringe level is pretty low. Of course, there are some slightly woke snarky remarks in some dialogues, but nothing near as bad as we are used from woke flicks. Perhaps a big name like Tim Burton kept him from inserting many of their agenda-pushing minions in the production team. Of course, seeing how popular Season 1 turned out to be, they might double their efforts. But here's to hoping Season 2 stays on the right track and only builds upon this season. Careful optimism, dangerous, I know. Wednesday Season 1 is a fun watch, especially if you are familiar with the Addams Family mythos, and is turning out to be a gem in the pile of manure that is Netflix live action projects. So give it a watch, but for the love of Catgut Rusty, stop making those cringy TikToks about it, you fruitcakes.